24 years later, and it is still unclear what happened to Jonelle Matthews. Police say no body has ever been found, no suspect ever arrested.
It was a dark winter evening, the kind where the silence of snow muffles even the sounds of your own home. Then, in the slip of a moment, that feeling of security is shattered. Someone you love walks out the door and they simply vanish. And for decades, all you have are questions, an endless loop of what-ifs, and the suffocating fear you'll never truly know what happened. In this true crime episode, we explore the astounding story of Jonelle Matthews, a 12-year-old girl from Greeley, Colorado, who disappeared without a trace on December 20th of 1984. Despite a massive investigation spanning decades, her case has frozen cold, until a shocking twist emerged recently. Jonelle Matthews wasn't just a name on a missing poster. She was a bright-spirited girl in the midst of her childhood. Born in 1972, her energy filled the Matthews, Colorado household with pride. She was involved in her school choir, loved playing with friends, and brought joy to her parents, Jim and Gloria, and her older sister. Her life was a mosaic of ordinary childhood moments, school plays, holiday concerts, and the simple happiness of those early years. The night she disappeared, Jonelle had just performed in a Christmas concert.
This is one of those cases that never closes. It'll be there until we do resolve it.
When a family friend dropped her off at home around 8 p.m., Jonelle stepped into an empty house, as her parents wouldn't be back for another hour. During that seemingly unremarkable gap of time, the trajectory of Jonelle's life shifted irrevocably. What happened during that time remains one of the most haunting mysteries of the case. The bubbly girl who had filled her home with laughter was gone. She was kidnapped. There were no signs of forced entry and no apparent struggle. Jonelle Matthews had seemingly vanished into thin air. The discovery of Jonelle's disappearance was only the beginning of the nightmare. As police arrived at the Matthews home, an unsettling feeling lingered because the house appeared eerily undisturbed. Yet there were subtle details adding to the uneasy puzzle. Footprints in the snow led away from the house but abruptly stopped. A heating vent left open. Something was decidedly off. The quiet, small-town streets of Greeley erupted in both fear and a desperate hope to find Jonelle. Posters with her smiling face blanketed the community. Candlelight vigils flickered in the winter darkness. The search stretched far and wide, spanning months and even years, with every lead raising hopes, only to be followed by heartbreaking disappointment. The investigation seemed to hit a standstill. Police combed through tips and interviewed countless people, but none led to Jonelle. Jonelle's story haunted the news. It became a chilling reminder that danger didn't always arrive with a crash and a scream.
12-year-old Jonelle Matthews disappeared from her Greeley home 1 month ago today. It's believed she's the victim of a kidnapping. She has not been seen or heard from since December 20th. Authorities and the girl's parents still have many avenues open to them in their search, but the Matthews family feels their widest avenue is prayer.
Years bled into decades, and with each anniversary of Jonelle's disappearance, the case resurfaced. Still, the mystery seemed unsolvable. A ghost story whispered among the streets of Greeley. Then, in July of 2019, a horrific discovery sent shockwaves through the community. Construction workers laying a pipeline stumbled upon human remains in a rural field. The heartbreaking truth was undeniable. Jonelle Matthews had been found. The discovery was both an answer and a new wave of questions. The painstaking examination of the remains confirmed it was indeed Jonelle, and the way she died was finally determined: a gunshot wound to the head. But the identity of her killer remained elusive. The mystery that had haunted Greeley for decades suddenly took a dark new turn. Who was ruthless enough to slay a child only to vanish back into their own life for years? Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away in Twin Falls, Idaho, lived a man named Steve Pankey. On the surface, he appeared an unremarkable figure, a former politician and minister. This former Greeley resident ran for governor in Idaho in 2014 and 2018, and for lieutenant governor in 2010. But beneath this facade lurked a fascination with the Jonelle Matthews case from the very beginning. Interestingly enough, at the time of Jonelle's disappearance, Steve lived about 3 miles away from the Matthews home, and he was in fact her Sunday school teacher. Pankey wasn't just a casual follower of the news. He inserted himself into the investigation repeatedly, offering unsolicited information and displaying an unusual fixation on the details of the crime.
Probably most people don't realize in the 300,000 or how many missing exploited children there are across the United States, there are a lot of people that are victims in it. It goes, the rock in the pond has many rings, it just keeps going out. There's a lot here. I am not against them solving it, okay? I'm for solving it.
It was as if he were drawn into the mystery not by a desire for justice, but by an unsettling obsession. His behavior raised eyebrows over the years. After the discovery of Jonelle's body, investigators dove back into the cold case, their attention drawn to the strange figure who had always seemed to linger at its edge. Steve Pankey. The puzzle pieces began falling into place. Pankey's fascination morphed into suspicion as inconsistencies in his story and years of bizarre behavior became impossible to ignore. For example, Pankey possessed an unusual knowledge of details never shared with the public, such as the specific type of rake used to obscure footprints in the snow near the Matthews house. Additionally, the police noted how he repeatedly offered unsolicited advice to them, demanding immunity deals in exchange for information and making oddly cryptic statements about the crime in media interviews. His actions went beyond mere curiosity. He went on unprompted trips to Greeley around significant anniversaries of Jonelle's disappearance. He volunteered DNA without prompting and engaged in what seemed like self-promotional interviews with various media outlets regarding the case. Even more disturbingly, he had once spoken about burying a body in a remote location, eerily similar to the circumstances of Jonelle's eventual discovery. These details painted a dark picture, transforming Pankey's interest into something far more sinister, as if he were a shadow hovering over the case for a long time. For decades, suspicion swirled around Steve Pankey like a slow-moving fog. But in 2020, after a relentless pursuit, Steve Pankey was arrested, charged with first-degree homicide, second-degree kidnapping, and 2 counts of crime of violence in the death of Jonelle Matthews. Pankey was 69 years old at this point. The news was a stunning twist after decades of darkness. Finally, a potential answer to the question that haunted an entire community. Nevertheless, the quest for justice in the Jonelle Matthews case was far from over, and the trial that followed was both captivating and frustrating. Prosecutors outlined Pankey's obsession with the case, his cryptic statements, and the numerous inconsistencies in his accounts over the years. However, a lack of physical evidence cast doubt in the minds of some jurors. So in 2021, the trial ended in a hung jury that dealt a blow to Jonelle's family and the community. Pankey even gave an interview to a magazine and said he was being framed by the police because of his sexuality, identifying himself as a celibate homosexual. That's a twist perhaps nobody saw coming. Despite the setback, prosecutors pursued a retrial, determined to hold Pankey accountable. This time, Pankey's ex-wife, Angela Hicks, took the stand, and her statements painted a chilling picture of his character. She described him as controlling, manipulative, and possessing a fascination with true crime stories. She said they decided on a trip in December that year towards California, 2 days after Matthews' disappearance. She also said this trip was unexpected, and that for some reason they returned to Greeley on December 26th. Hicks noted how Pankey took an unusual interest in the case. She said that on their return trip, Pankey uncharacteristically listened to the radio, searching for news of the girl's disappearance. He even forced her to read to him newspaper articles concerning the case. As per Hicks' testimony, shortly following their return to Greeley, Pankey started digging in their yard. At about that time, a car stored on their property caught fire and was disposed of at a salvage yard. And here's another bizarre occurrence. Pankey's son was killed in a homicide in 2008. At the funeral, Hicks reportedly heard Pankey say, "I hope God didn't allow this to happen because of Jonelle Matthews." In 2022, he was found guilty of the charges after what seemed like an everlasting second trial. The aftermath of this twisted case continues to ripple through Greeley. For the Matthews family, there is a measure of relief, yet a sense of lingering grief that will likely shadow them forever. Jennifer Mogensen, Jonelle's older sister, said her family experienced some closure when they learned that her sister was dead. She further stated that she considers Pankey's arrest another gift to our family. She further said that while there had been sibling rivalry between her and her younger sister, the disappearance eliminated the possibility for the 2 siblings to grow closer. Now behind bars, details of Pankey's possible motives begin to surface.
So it's over with. So So that family has the same closure that I have. Okay, that's.
And also, I mean, talk about wouldn't you like it resolved to maybe have your name cleared or?
Oh, absolutely.
Investigators theorize his obsession with the Matthews case stemmed from a deep-seated resentment towards authority. As it turned out, Jonelle's father, Jim Matthews, had a respected position in the police department while Pankey himself held failed political aspirations. Some believe he saw the crime as a way to undermine law enforcement and gain notoriety. While justice was achieved, the unanswered questions and lingering grief in Jonelle's case are wounds that time may never fully heal. Thank you for watching. Drop your thoughts on this chilling story in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more daily true crime stories.